Welcome back, everyone, to NerdWide.com's weekly podcast titled Hero Cravings, The Multiverse. We cover and break down all Marvel TV shows, Gotham and Krypton, episode by episode for you, the listener. As always, I'm your host, Tyler Haynes, with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Chris Rivers.
I'm a Wallace Day fan.
Now, Chris, you went to Heroes and Villains Fan Fest today. I know you're probably very tired for it. We'll both be there tomorrow. What is your first initial impression? I know this is your second time going to it here in Nashville. What are your thoughts for this year so far?
Well, before I get to my thoughts for this year, I need to congratulate you because the reason you weren't there is you were hosting a gender reveal party for your soon-to-be baby girl.
Yes, sir. Stella Kate will be making her appearance later this year. So, thanks, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So,
you did well, sir.
I do what I can.
The con, it was amazing today.
Now, you even got to talk to Emma Dumont from Gifted, right?
Yeah, a couple of times, and Amy Acker,
Right.
briefly as well, also from The Gifted. No one from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was there.
Oh.
We did have Robin Lord Taylor from Gotham.
Yeah.
I spoke briefly with him. Drew Powell was there. I didn't get to see him, so
I think he
hopefully
got
tomorrow.
in late, didn't he? Because he said he was flying early or late or something like that.
He was leaving Montana.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but a lot of good guests. My plans didn't go as smoothly as I'd hoped, but that was no one's fault. It was just kind of choosing to do certain things.
Right.
You know how it goes. But it's a great experience, man. The staff, the volunteers, the ambassadors there are amazing. They make sure everyone's taken care of, especially people that, the disability services there are amazing.
Right.
Off the chain. They make sure, like, some people had the proper, I don't know what to call it, I guess access or whatever, if they needed it, but they were still going through the regular lines, and the ambassadors were coming up and saying, wait a minute, come over here. And they would get them out of the line, and they would fast track them
Right.
so that they could go on through first. I haven't had a bad experience there from staff
Right.
at either one that I've been at. I haven't had a bad experience with any of the guests. It's just everybody's cool with each other. I don't think I've seen any unwanted drama.
This is a big one because this has got Heroes and Villains and Walker Stalker combined this year.
Yeah, and Michael Rooker.
Well, we've met him like 3 or 4 different times.
I know, man. But I love so many of the roles that he's had that every time I get a chance to meet him, I do it.
Right.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I had a chance to meet him today, which was amazing.
Lucky.
So, yeah, man, it's a blast.
Yeah.
And I recommend anybody, if you have one of these come into your town, whether it's Walker Stalker or Heroes and Villains, check it out. If you have to go crash on a friend's couch or family, I met a girl today who she wanted to come. She lives over in the Raleigh area of North Carolina, and luckily for her, had a cousin in town. Otherwise, she said she wouldn't have been able to afford it, and stayed with her cousin so she could go to this.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you get the chance, please, please, please do it. Check it out. I don't know yet if they're coming back to Nashville next year. We'll probably find out tomorrow because they tend to drop that sort of information on day 2. Hopefully they do.
Well, that and they know that their favorite and best guest, Tyler, will be there. I mean, I'll be there tomorrow.
Well, Yeah, everybody was asking about you today, Tyler.
See, that's if they just would have paid attention
Everybody.
to my Twitter, they would have known. That's
Most of them were debt collectors and process servers, but
oh, you didn't tell them where I was, right?
oh, I told them you'd be there tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll handle it then. But getting right into our show, housekeeping real fast. Don't forget to share, rate, and review this podcast on whatever podcasting service you use. We are officially on YouTube, and I apologize as I've been saying recently, we are a week behind on posting the YouTube videos. That is my fault. I'm going to do better, and I will get those up. Make sure you subscribe to us at youtube.com/nerdwide if you want to watch visually instead of audibly. Don't forget that we do weekly polls on every Monday that last until Friday on our Twitter at nerd_wide there on Twitter. Of course, your question from last week will be read, and the answers and polls from you guys will be read, and then, of course, we'll do our question for the week. But as well as our Twitter, we are unveiling our summer podcast series soon. So make sure you're keeping an eye out and ear close to the ground because we are going to tell you, and it's going to be fun. Make sure you're getting hyped for this one. Now this is our 32nd official episode, and let me give you a quick recap of how the show is going to go down. Each week, we go through all the Multiverse TV episodes in order as they air. We're going to bring you our thoughts and reactions to every one of those episodes. That being said, we're going to jump right on into it with Krypton Episode 8 titled Savage Night. Now, this episode is pretty good. We start off actually 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks in Krypton time, or TV show time. When Adam first meets Seg, he's like, your grandson's very important to the future. I'm here to save Krypton. And then, when he gets Rainbow gets teleported away from Seg, we see that he's on some random ship with some voices there. We never saw anything. Personally, to me, it was bad CGI, but you can't help that sometimes.
Yeah, well, I didn't get the point.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I didn't need to know that these conversations took place.
Yeah, they because they're basically like, we're giving you one last chance. You better not screw this up like you've been screwing everything else up when you stole that Zeta Beam device from us. I'm assuming they're talking about his origin, where he goes to that other planet and everything, but I don't see how it plays out here.
Shouldn't they have done this in episode 1 or 2?
Yes, 100% yes.
It seemed weird to do the callback for that.
Right.
Here.
But especially, and I don't know. We see Seg and Lyta continue to be a couple. They start making out in Kim's bar with, of course, Nyssa nearby. Very awkward, if you ask me. We find out from Sevi, who is one of the Voice of Real's followers, with all the makeup and everything on her face, with all the writing, that Brainiac is draining the life of the embryos, and that is causing him to get stronger and live longer and things like that. Of course, we found out, I think it was in the first episode with, maybe the second one, with Nyssa and Seg. They both got blood taken from them, and they're making a baby together in the, what do they call that chamber? The Genesis chamber.
Yeah.
So he is draining the life of the embryo, so basically he's absorbing fetuses. Then, of course, Nyssa asks the important questions here. What happens to her and Seg's child if this keeps going on? Of course, this kind of motivates Seg just a little bit. Not so much, because obviously he doesn't really care because he's in love with Lyta. But Nyssa, Seg, and Lyta go to find Dev because the only way they could kind of stop Brainiac's little legion of red member head things. They called it something in the show. I didn't really pay attention to it. But in order to stop them, they need to be able to hack one and shut them all down at once. So Nyssa, Seg, and Lyta go to find Dev for his transponder. We see that Dev is still alive somehow, but barely. We do finally see the leader. Chris, I know this is a big thing for you. We finally see the leader of Black Zero as Jaina and General Zod meet with her.
Finally.
Of course, nobody we've known. I didn't get that, but
yeah.
So, but Darren, go ahead.
A good twist, a very, very, very good twist, would have been if they had had the leader of Black Zero turn out to be Kim.
Ooh, nobody would have saw that coming.
No, and it would have been someone we knew.
Right. Someone they've
It
kind
would
of
have had
developed a
an
little bit.
impact. It would have had an impact on Seg because they're so close.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I, yeah,
Yeah. But just some
just the
random
I.
blonde lady. Um, so she meets the leader of Black Zero meets with Jaina and General Zod. They go to Black Zero for help, but in order for Black Zero to give them help, they said, "We will give you our army, but we require Darren Vex in the trade-off when this is all said and done." Apparently, they knew about Brainiac because of Val-El, which is of course Seg's
Mhm.
grandfather. Um, then we see Adam and Kim go out to search for Ona while all this little mass is going, everything's just falling apart in this world. We see that Adam actually then goes to Darren Vex for help and tells him all about Brainiac's plans, what it means for the future, and things like that. We see that General Zod and Jaina are having a conversation, and again, Jaina asking some real important questions here. She says, if Krypton blew up, how were you still alive? And he said he was sent to the Phantom Zone when Krypton blew up, so the time was a little bit different. She finds out that he's a war criminal. Um, we see Black Zero in our Resistance group, as I like to call him, go down to take down Brainiac / the voice of Ral. We see that Jaina shoots and potentially kills the voice of Ral as he falls off into this Genesis chamber all the way down to the bottom. Everyone presumes he's dead. We do capture Darren Vex, and we see Nissa, my homegirl, deliver Darren Vex to Black Zero as promised. And of course, just kidding, the voice of Ral is still alive because technically it's Brainiac, so he can't really die. He did say that, don't worry, because he's talking to Ona at this point, because Ona, for some reason, is still all about the voice of Ral, and she's sitting in his little throne room. And he says, "Don't worry, child." He goes, "This body does not feel pain like you do." And very weird. And he says something about, it's time to make you reborn and give a rebirth and everything. Then we flash over to Jaina, and she's talking to Seg. She thinks that Zod has actually come back to rule Krypton, not help them out, which would make complete sense because that's General Zod's thing.
Right.
Then Ral / Brainiac made Ona a bomb in an attempt to kill the Resistance. She walks into the bar where everybody is, and of course Kim and Seg are very excited to see her. They start talking to her. She says something about being reborn in the fire of Ral or something like that. Her little sigils on her face start to flash, and then she actually blows up right in front of Seg and Kim. But before they get hurt or killed or anything, Adam hits the Zeta Beam device and saves Seg's life. And then he was actually teleported somewhere, and we don't even know where. And that's how the episode ended. Like, he's in front of some random girl.
Yeah.
So, don't know what that means. But he did something selfless and saved Seg's life because he wants Superman to actually be there.
Right. Now, there's a couple of things about this episode.
Okay.
First, there were some nice moments with Nissa and Lyta. Just kind of their back and forth because they obviously don't like one another.
Right, because they both
Um,
are in love with the same guy.
right. So there were a couple of nice scenes there where they were going back and forth. I really like that. I got a question for you though,
Okay.
because I've been trying to think what's bringing the show down. It's not the performances.
No.
I think the CGI and things like that being used are fine. It feels to me, and see if this makes sense to you. It feels to me like maybe when they were pitching this project, they developed a story and they figured out, okay, we're going to do this over 12, 13, 15, 18 episodes, something like that. And then sci-fi said, nope, 10's all you get. And they just
Smushed it as much as they could.
smushed as much as they could and said, let's hope this works. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like some of these episodes have stuff missing. It's not quite hitting on all cylinders. Last week's episode was really good.
Yeah.
Uh, this week's episode was, I thought it was good. I didn't think it was quite what last week's was.
Right.
Um, and part of that was like you alluded to earlier. You give us the leader of Black Zero with 2 episodes to go, and it's someone we've never even seen.
Right.
The if this were episode 8 of 22, great.
Right.
You've got time.
You got time to
You don't
develop
have
another
time.
character. And
Right. Yep.
and I think we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago. I think my biggest thing is some of the writing, and I'm with you. I think a lot of it's smushed together, so the writers are working with what they've got. A lot of these things I feel like need to be, drawn out a lot more. Granted, you don't hear that a lot about TV shows, but like Black Zero being just tossed in there, like we've went 8 episodes so far. One, Black Zero's supposed to be this big resistance. We're supposed to care or hate or love this group, and we're just now seeing the resistance leader.
Right.
I don't know. I love Nissa's character. She's probably, honestly, Chris, my favorite character on there. Just because she's done everything that, like, sometimes she'll do something you thought she was going to do, and then sometimes she does something you didn't. Like turning her dad over this episode, awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Didn't see that happening. I expected her to somehow save him in the end, but no. She's the one who tied him up and turned her over.
Yep.
So,
I would say she's definitely one of my favorite characters. Obviously, I like Seg.
yeah.
And Adam Strange.
I like Adam. I feel like we get a lot of what motivates him so far this season, and it's very wonderful because he looks up to Superman so much that he's willing to do whatever it takes to keep him alive and to keep him going. That he's just willing to do everything for it, and I love that about him.
His admiration of Superman is almost Jimmy Olsen like.
Absolutely.
He's just all about it. And I mean, I have 3 or 4 characters that I just really, really, really like on this show, and then there's a few just below that I like a lot. There's a couple that could go. It's not the actor's fault. I just feel like the character's not serving much of a purpose.
Yeah.
With the way that the story's played out so far. Maybe that changes over the last 2 episodes, but and hopefully those aren't the final 2 episodes.
Now, what do you think is, like, because we're 2 episodes away, like you just said, from the finale. What do you think is going to happen? Like, do you think Brainiac comes to Krypton? Or
I have no idea. I mean,
yeah.
The downside to it is normally you would be able to look at this and say, okay, well here's what they could do next season. We don't know if there's going to be a next season, and so we don't know, are they going to do a cliffhanger with the last shot is Brainiac finally arriving?
Right.
Are they going to stop him? You've only got 2 episodes to stop him, and so far it doesn't look like there's anything that's going to work.
You think we're going to see Doomsday again?
Well, with the way it's going, probably, but I don't think they've given enough. I don't think they've given enough to build him up.
I've actually talked to my insider people, and Lex Luthor is going to make an appearance.
Wow.
So,
are you serious right now?
Yeah, that's a joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. To be honest with you, when you said that, my first thought was, all right, well, maybe Adam Strange, maybe the person he landed in front of was someone affiliated with
on
Lex
Earth
Luthor.
somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know. But we've only got 2 weeks.
I think Nissa's the key to the show.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, she's she's got the connection to her father. I
She's been
think
the
she's
one who's
probably
been
got,
planning just about everything.
yeah.
So
And I think how she goes, so goes the uh, the resistance, as it
yeah.
were.
Now, in a crazy twist of things, sci-fi has not given us early numbers for Krypton.
Well, at least the sources I have, um, where I normally pull numbers from, have not updated. I checked another source, and all it said were Krypton's ratings were steady.
So we're staying
So I
at
think
zero
we
point 0.2.
0.2 and probably about 0.63 million viewers.
Mm, interesting. And the next week's episode is actually titled Hope, which is apparently what the House of L's sigil is all about. And then, of course, like we said a little bit earlier, 2 episodes left, maybe total. Hopefully not. But
There's
we do know there's 2 left in the season.
one other thing I just remembered about this episode I wanted to mention. The look that I'm going to draw a blank on her name. Jaina.
Mm-hmm.
The look that she gives Zod when she asks, "Who sent you to the Phantom Zone?" And he says, "Jor-El." And she's thinking, I'm sure she's thinking, he said he and Jor-El
We're best
got
friends.
along. Yeah, they were best friends. So why would he send you to the Phantom Zone? What did you do?
Right.
That
So, I don't know. I don't think we're going to get that relationship payoff this season. Uh, who knows? We've been wrong before. uh, Next show we have is Gotham Season 4, Episode 21, titled One Bad Day. Um, we see that Captain Gordon is still missing, if not dead. It's being broadcasted all over the city. We see Jeremiah show up with Jerome's cultist at the GCPD. They have a little bit of a makeover. They're not all that crazy looking. They're very uniformed with guns, very military-esque. He gets Bullock and the rest of the people out of the station. He says he needs Gotham cleared out in 6 hours so he can make a slate. Excuse me. He's wanting to wipe out Gotham and build something new. Just to show that he is serious, he destroys a clock tower like a couple blocks away. And
yeah,
the guy who plays Bullock, I've got Donald Logue,
Donald Logue.
dude. The pain and horror in his face is something
Yep.
I don't think I could even do as an actor. Of course, I'm not an actor, but to see that was pure horror. Like I loved it. That was probably like one of my favorite scenes about this, but wasn't the favorite. We see Bruce show up to the police station and he tells Bullock everything that happened last episode. We see that Jeremiah calls Bruce from Alfred's phone and tells him to go to a secret location. Of course, he says, I know that you're actually at the police station right now. Don't bring or tell anybody where you're going, or I will go ahead and kill Alfred. Of course, he leaves, but he does not, go to the location alone. We'll get there in a minute. A little foreshadowing for you guys. We see Jim Gordon is still alive. He's got an IV. He's actually in the Narrows being held by Lee Tompkins. She's the one who saved him. Apparently, they had someone been following him the past several days. And they got... when the explosion happened, they found him several feet away, and they pulled him out of the wreckage and brought him to Lee Tompkins. We see that Lee puts Jim on bed rest after he shows her the blueprints and stuff he got out of the Jeremiah's bunker. We see Penguin show up to Barbara at Tabitha's club, which, Chris, I don't know, they didn't really say anything about it, but did you see in the background her League of Assassins back there still?
I did not notice.
They were all kind of like on the side, like in a line, paying attention to everything. But I noticed it just for a second, but they didn't talk about them. So, but he shows up with the core relay. Wait, I'm skipping some spots. No, that's right. So Penguin shows up with Barbara and Tabitha. He struck a deal with them. He says, they're planning to blow up this city. Let's stop them. Let's make a deal, et cetera, et cetera. All these villains trying to plan together. So he shows up to Jeremiah's HQ with the core relay to all his bombs. Excuse me.
Tyler needs more coffee.
That's the only one I get. That's the only one I get. So, Penguin, he's got the main cultist we saw last week with the grenade in his mouth, with the core relay in his hand. He says, I know how important this is to you. They want $50 million. And Jeremiah says, okay, I mean, we can make that happen or whatever. Tries calling the mayor. Mayor says he got put on hold or hung up on him or something like that. And he says, well, I guess there's always a plan B, and pulls out a grenade launcher from nowhere and shoots the Goonie and the core relay. And that was probably one of the coolest scenes from this one, besides like the clock tower destruction, because there was meat flying everywhere. And then Robin Lord Taylor, of course, a fantastic actor. He had like the horror and shock on his face. He's like, he really just blew up this dude with the RPG. He says, but you need this core relay. He goes, I guess it's not. And then they have a big shootout. We see that Jeremiah is torturing Alfred because of Bruce. Basically, he's, Jerome said something a while ago. He said, we're all just one bad day from insanity, which I love this quote because it's true, And I feel like that's something I love about these characters. It's just the Joker, but not really the Joker, because I don't think they really have the rights to it. But so he's torturing Alfred while we're doing this, and we see these videos like of these dentistry tools and him being tortured. It was horrific. I couldn't even imagine what Bruce was feeling in this moment. And then we see Alfred getting sprayed by the special toxin made by the Scarecrow. In one of these little videos that's playing in these hallways. But then we flash over to the Riddler. He finds out Jeremiah's plans and what it means with Detective Gordon, Captain Gordon. Lord have mercy. They kind of get their little plans figured out. And then before Bruce went into Jeremiah's bunker, he is with Selena. This is the first time we've seen Selena in, 2 episodes maybe? And of course she said, I'll always help you type of thing. She goes, you asked me for help, I'm always going to come. So while she is, at one point, Bruce is at another point, she goes to, I've already just lost where I was with the notes. Oh, so she actually gets in a fight with the Scarecrow while helping Bruce. She actually finds 2 Goonies watching Bruce just walk around this warehouse. And the Scarecrow comes up behind her with his classic, what do they call those things, Chris? Grim Reaper scythe? I don't know.
Yeah, scythe.
Thing till wheat with back in the day. And
Grim Reapers.
Yeah, the Grim Reapers. Google it, I guess. That was a very cool scene because we see Selena and Scarecrow fight, and of course Selena wins. Scarecrow runs away. Now, while Bruce is looking for Alfred, he's seeing Alfred being tortured. I need you to imagine this picture with me. Alfred is like a father type to Bruce. And what was really trippy to this is, and you've talked to David Mazouz and Sean Pertwee and stuff, and you've seen interviews and things. They have a father-son relationship. They've been together for 4 years now, almost 5 now, and They have this bond and relationship. It's almost like a father-son, even in real life relationship. Now, put yourself in Bruce's shoes. You're walking down this hallway trying to find Alfred, and you're hearing constantly and seeing him getting tortured, just because Jeremiah, your arch nemesis, which we know this now, is doing to make you go insane. But then we find out that while he's doing this, he's being pumped with gas as well. And then Bruce does eventually find Alfred, and Alfred is doing like a creepy, crackly Joker-esque laugh, and then
Mm-hmm.
he grabs like a little razor blade that you used to shave back in the day, and he cuts the smile on his face, classic Joker smile, and still laughing, and then comes at Bruce. Um, we see this nice little fight scene go down between Bruce and Alfred. They're on like the edge of a little like a catwalk of some sort or balcony potentially, and they're getting in a fight. Bruce is on the ground. Alfred's on top of him, and he's getting ready to slice Bruce up. He says, "Come on, Bruce, give me a smile." Like just classic Joker stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then we see Alfred get shot in the head from behind, and he falls over the balcony, is sprawled out dead. And of course, it then goes to commercial. Like my jaw was on the floor already from this fight scene, and the whole little come on Bruce, give me a smile thing. But don't worry, guys, it's okay. It was a body double. Alfred was okay. He was just locked in a closet, and it was just the gas working everything. So Bruce looks back over the balcony, sees a guy that resembles Alfred, realizes it wasn't him. Of course, Selena's the one who found the real Alfred and got him to where Bruce is to convince him. Um, then we go over to Harvey. He goes to one of the bombs because Gordon at this point has gotten back to the GCPD, told everybody what the plan is, and so Harvey says Harvey and Lucius, there's only one way to stop these bombs is to stop the first one. So they go to the closest one. Harvey does because they said they can't get bomb squad because there's traffic everywhere, which because of course everyone is trying to leave the city. We see Harvey get to one of the bombs and by himself in this abandoned building, and as Lucius is talking to him how to disengage it. Of course, there's the classic two breaker switches, non-identified. One of them is going to blow everything up. One of them will disengage everything. You have no idea which one it is. This is a very, very, very intense scene. I was like, here it is. Here's where we finally see Harvey die. Very intense. He picks the one that doesn't blow him up, so Harvey's not dead yet, if I might add. Very crazy. Did you like? Was that very intense for you too? Like it was insane for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very, very intense.
And I think that was what they were going for.
But it served a major purpose because of what happens later on back at the police station.
Yeah, and because of course while Lucius is talking him through, Lucius has Harvey on speakerphone in the police station. And of course, at the beginning of this episode, Harvey was trying to give directions out to the station, and they're like, "No, the last time we listened to you, we all got shot up by the pig." And you could tell that affected Harvey because he felt regret for everything that happened. But he's also like, I'm lead detective. I would be next in line. Our captain is presumed dead. We have to do something. But we see the police station all on standby listening to Harvey because this is an intense moment. Either he defuses this, the city's going to be safe, or he blows the city up. And he's by himself, no bomb squad, no nothing. Of course, he does save it. It was very... He comes back to the GCPD. Everyone's clapping. He's back on everyone's good side because that was very heroic of him to put his life above everything and to save all these people. But could have went bad, but it wasn't in the script, so he didn't die yet. We go over to Jeremiah. He tries to hit the switch. Obviously, the bombs don't work. His followers turn on him. He walks out a door, locks the door, and purges everybody inside of it and burns them all alive. What? I mean, we knew he's twisted. This was a little rough for me, but that was intense. And then while he's going over plans, he's trying to figure out how he got stopped. We see Raish meet up with Jeremiah. Like, he's in the background, going away and things like that, talking to Jeremiah. He goes, we all know what it's all about. He says, it's not about Gotham. It's always been about Bruce Wayne. And we don't see them. We go back to Wayne Manor. Bruce, Selena, and Alfred are all back. They're going to make a meal together. Alfred asks, he goes, Miss Kyle, are you going to stay for dinner? She goes, I don't have anywhere else to be, so I might as well. And we finally see a Bruce and Selena kiss. Again, finally, might I add. Um, I wonder how awkward that was between the two actors, but who knows?
Can you imagine if the show doesn't come back and that moment had never happened?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine how pissed fans would be?
I mean, I would be. We've been leading towards this, and like the whole episode. Well, at the beginning of the episode, she goes, whenever you need me, I'll always be here for you, Bruce. That's always how it's been, you know.
Right.
So, but the most shocking thing is, as they're discussing something, they hear a noise. Jeremiah walks into Wayne Manor with a gun. Selena and Bruce stand up real fast. Um, they said, what did Bruce say? He said, because he was trying to tell Selena what Jeremiah was trying to do. He goes, he was just trying to make me go insane, won't make me have one bad day. Again, the title of this
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, and he says, "What if my one bad day was the day my parents died, and
Yeah.
I've already gone insane?"
Dude, what writing for this show?
Yeah, it was
That
amazing.
was, I was like, yeah, what if it was? And Jeremiah comes in and goes, oh, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't, I'm not so sure about that. Bruce and Selena stand up. Jeremiah puts the gun in like Selena's stomach and shoots her. Uh, Straight from the Killing Joke comics with Batman and Joker. If you haven't read that book or seen the animated film, please, dear Lord, watch this and watch how important this scene was. Of course, in the movie, it's Barbara Gordon, which is
Mhm.
Gordon's daughter. She was Batgirl. She does become the Oracle after that. So I'm very curious to see what happens with this. But that scene was wonderful because you hear the gunshot and then everything goes silent, and you see Bruce go to Selena. He's shaking her. She's just kind of like looking off to the distance. We don't know if she's dead. Don't know if she's just paralyzed or what. We see Alfred in the background take down Jeremiah and just constantly punch him in the face while Jeremiah's just looking at him dead in the eyes, not making any reaction. And that's how the episode ends. And dear God, Chris, this is probably one of the best Gotham episodes I've ever seen. From
Yeah.
acting, from character development, from writing. Wow is all I can say. Like
Hmm.
I'm serious. I mean, I'm getting chills just talking about the end of this episode. I loved it, and the fact that we still have not heard if this is being renewed or not, which it 100% needs to be renewed. I just I'm not a Batman fan whatsoever. I've never been into Batman, but this show is so damn good, and it really, really, really needs to be renewed. I know Fox has been on um, a cancellation spree over the past couple of days. It would really hurt me personally if they took the show off the air.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so good. And now, Chris, we're talking about earlier you being at Heroes and Villains, and you actually got to talk with Robin Lord Taylor. Now, do you have any insight that you asked from him about renewals or cancellations or anything for Gotham?
As of when I spoke with him, they have not heard anything. Um,
That's rough.
and now, of course, we're recording this Saturday evening. I spoke with him earlier in the afternoon. They haven't heard anything, and he told me that they're really hoping that it's not a cancellation, primarily because they're getting to some exciting stuff, and they all enjoy working together. But they're getting to some exciting stuff here, so they're hoping that they'll actually get to bring that to life with where they're planning to go.
I hope so, dude. Man, it's
I will say too, um, he was very quick as well to say, but if it happens these days with the television landscape, there are all sorts of other places that a show can land.
dude.
So
I could see it on Netflix if we're gonna be honest.
well, I don't know because they have a deal with Marvel, so I don't know if
Uh,
they would do that. Maybe Hulu.
well,
Uh, um,
no, Marvel's pulling all their stuff soon because they're gonna Disney's launching their own streaming service.
Well, I've heard different things though. I've heard
Ooh.
that yes, they're gonna pull it. I've also heard that their Marvel stuff will stay on Netflix and all the other Disney content will go to the Disney service.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I wonder, man. I don't want this show to end, Chris. And I have to thank you because you're the one who, when we talked about doing Hero Cravings, you said, "Well, we got to do Gotham." And of course, I binged watched all of Gotham
yeah,
up to
because
this moment.
if I remember right, you said you had started watching the first season.
Yeah, and we stopped like halfway through because life happened and we just got behind.
Yeah.
Oh, and I don't know. We talked to our buddy Charlie, and he asked Robin Lord Taylor today because he was at Heroes and Villains as well. They said, how can we help as fans, as viewers? And they said, he said, he was just talking about on social media. He says social media has so much power, and the higher ups actually do pay attention to it. He said, do hashtag renew Gotham or hashtag Gotham season 5. He says because they do look at that. He goes honestly, that's the best way you guys can help. Minus watching the episodes, obviously. But
Yeah, and watching them live especially because
yeah,
that's what the advertisers care about.
right.
Um, but if you absolutely can't watch it live, because people do have things going on in life. If you watch it on your DVR or on demand, make sure you don't fast forward through commercials.
Oh, do they keep
Uh,
track of all that?
from what I understand, if you're watching it on the DVR and you fast forward through commercials, it automatically stops counting that viewership
Oh, wow.
because you're not watching the ads.
Right.
Um, Usually on demand, they've got fast forward disabled,
Yeah, I know on Hulu they do. If you've
so it
got the
doesn't go
basic
through.
service.
But that's what I've always heard is that if you're watching on your DVR, especially within those first 3 to 7 days, if you skip through commercials, they can tell and they don't count your viewership.
Hmm. And dude, that's crazy. So Spartacus has always been my favorite TV show of all time. This might be blasphemy to everything I just said earlier as far as I hate Batman, period. But this has started to become one of my favorite TV shows.
Yeah,
Like, if you just think from season 1 to this point where we are right now, unbelievable. Like,
absolutely.
it blows my mind. Every single character. The only person I don't think I didn't like was Fish Mooney. Um,
Well, and I think I like the job that Jada Pinkett Smith did bringing that character to
oh,
life.
absolutely, she did
It
fine. I just don't think
it
that
was,
I just don't think I liked her character.
and I think the main problem I had with the character is I knew that it wasn't canon. It
Right.
was created for the TV show. And it kept me from getting into it as much because everything else, well, not everything else, but most of the other major characters were from the comics. You
Right.
know, they had a long history, and hers didn't. So it was kind of like, all right, when are you gonna get this character out of here so that the villains we've always known and loved can start doing their thing?
It didn't last long, or it didn't take
Nope.
long. Um, Again, guys, just the only thing I do is talk about it, tweet about it. Make sure you are watching it. Early numbers for this episode actually were 0.7 rating, which is up zero point 0.1, 2.21 million viewers, which is up zero point 0.27. Of course, I think you sent me this, or Charlie did, that Gotham saw an intense spike this week because of the talk about cancellations and stuff like that. But what you always do around this time.
Hmm.
Um, but next episode is the season finale, hopefully not the series finale, titled No Man's Land. And of course, once we know any more information, we will be tweeting, and this goes for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well, or any of our shows. We will be tweeting on our NerdWide account on Twitter at nerd_wide. So make sure if you don't follow anything else, follow us. We don't do like breaking news and stuff like that, but for things like this, because this is our job at the moment, we will be tweeting about it. So
Well, and I think it's important too for people before we leave Gotham to remember, um, it could go either way. If it does come back, the interesting thing is Charlie Ridgely had a article about 3 weeks back on comicbook.com where he wrote that I'm trying to remember now offhand who it was. Uh, Danny Cannon, I think, which is an executive producer on the show. He mentioned that should they get a season five, it's going to be story wise a reboot.
Mm,
Uh, they're same characters, but they're going to be moving forward. I would assume with the way that they've subtitled the seasons and everything, I would almost look at it as book one will be closed,
right.
book two will open, and it's going to be a whole new path of story.
Well, you have to imagine because with Raish's vision he saw of Gotham all burning down and everything,
Hmm.
that would make sense if we're pretty much burning Gotham down to become a phoenix, rise from the ashes. So I could see
Right.
that, and I
Plus,
think that's what they're doing too.
yeah, plus, like you brought up, I think it was last week, at some point, we're gonna, if the show goes that far, we're gonna need to see Gordon become commissioner.
Yeah, and I think from photos and shots we've seen, which is not really spoilery, but it could be spoiler for some people. We do see Jim and Bruce in front of the classic skylight that Batman
Yeah.
symbols on. So I'm pretty sure we'll see that this week. So I wonder what happens. But
Right.
well, let's get off one soapbox. We're going to jump onto another. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., episode 521, titled The Force of Gravity. We start off with Quake waking up and she meets Cassius' dad named Taryan, which is actually the actor's name is Craig Parker. You might know him from Lord of the Rings or from, like I just said, one of my favorite TV shows, Spartacus. So now we have two individual Spartacus main cast members on S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm in heaven. I love Spartacus, but delved a little bit deeper. This is actually the fourth. This is the second character this season, but overall, this is the fourth character from Spartacus we have seen. Of course, this season, Quovos, which again was in this episode as well, is in Spartacus. So this is all really cool to me. I love it when they all do this. Um, and then they're having a nice little argument. Let me see. Did I? Yeah. So we go over to May and Coulson. We found out they are prisoners of war, obviously, just like Quake is. Coulson tells Quovos that he's just the villain of the month. They're going to beat him. I actually laughed pretty out loud for this part. He says, you're just the villain of the month. We beat it worse. I was like, no, you didn't. So that was very funny.
It
Uh,
was.
we then go to the Zephyr where Deke and Davis and another one of the agents are. Deke is talking to Davis again. He says, "Wait, you survived all that?" And so we're getting the very tail end of these Davis's stories, and we don't
Yeah.
know anything. I feel
No,
like the writers are trolling us with the story, though.
well, and that's the thing. I'm kind of thinking, did I miss something in the movies?
No, no, it's just
Did I miss something on a previous season? Am I blacking out? What's going on?
oh man, that's just the writers having some fun with the viewers. It really is.
I
but
hope so.
and I wonder if we actually will ever get the story. I can see them as to be like a running joke, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out. And then we get more references to New York being destroyed. And everything's going well, not really destroyed, but everything going on in New York from Infinity War. Not going into any spoilers there, but we talked in the pre-show that they've been really like since Infinity War has come out, they've been really pushing, talking about what's going on with the Avengers and things like that. Um, so if you have not seen Infinity War, you my advice: watch it before this next episode because I feel like because they keep pushing it. They're trying to get these to you guys, the viewers, to actually watch Infinity War, not for a money standpoint, but
Right.
for this season.
Yeah, they don't need any help at the box office
No,
because they shattered all the records.
right. They just,
Um,
I think it's just I think what happens in Infinity War is going to directly affect Agents of Shield, and the reason they keep bringing it up episode after episode after episode is I don't think they want the viewers to be like, well, where did that come from? As it pertains to the movie. So please go watch the movie, be caught up, and then um, go on YouTube or something. Just search up Agents of Shield Infinity War references, and just like watch all three of them together, so it'll actually make sense to you a little bit more.
well, and at the very least, if for some reason you know you're not going to be able to get to the theater before you watch the finale for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., just check out what happened online.
Yeah,
You
just
know,
just Google
be
the ending.
be caught up.
Yeah, because
Uh,
I don't know about you, Chris. But I'm like 75% sure that it's going to tie heavily in, just because of the way they're kind of pushing it.
I gave you one of my theories before the show, and I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll save it till after the finale because this is your warning. If you have not seen Infinity War, watch it before next weekend or next week before our next episode, or get caught up online somehow. Because next week it's been what next week will be 4 weeks since the movie's been out. If you haven't seen it, we warned you. We're going to talk about it because it directly. I'm again
Yeah,
75% sure it's going to directly involve it. So we'll
yeah,
throw our theories out if they work or not, but we'll see.
yeah. Most sites give you about 2 weeks to see
Yeah,
the film.
we're lenient. We're giving you 4.
You had a month.
Right. um, we see Talbot steal the Quinjet to get back to Earth. He doesn't need a pilot. He could just fly it. He just needs oxygen. Makes sense. Thought that was very great. Um, Talbot first goes to visit Creel. He talks to him a little bit, and then he actually absorbs Creel. R.I.P. There goes someone else from early seasons that's dead, potentially.
Bye bye.
So, because Creel absorbed a little bit of gravitonium when he came into contact with them, and Talbot's trying to build himself up so he can stop whatever is coming to help the Avengers of being a superhero. Again, you've been warned. You got one more week to watch it. We see that we go back over to the ship that's in the air, in space. We see that Quake is still on this ship with Quovos and May and everybody. But she's knocked out, meaning she's dragged, and she's got a transmitter on her head that's transmitting her consciousness to Tarian, Cassius. She is. This is one of the best scenes Chloe Bennett has done.
Yeah.
I love her, period, but this is one of her best scenes. And she told Tarian, she goes, I am the destroyer of worlds, and you have not come into contact with someone like me. Because he did tell her, he goes, you're on your way to me. I've got a transmit on your head. This is how we're able to contact each other. As she points her hands down and quakes and breaks the transmitter, it just blew my mind just how strong Quake has become. So she
Hmm.
breaks out of that. In the meantime, Deke breaks into Coulson and May's prison, knocks a guard out, saves them. We've got a lot of good commentary and humor between that trio right there. Um, Meanwhile, Talbot, after going to Creole, goes to his wife and son and visits them. He tells his son that he is a superhero just like the Avengers, and he's going to save the world. And of course, on the TV in the background, I don't know if you saw it, Chris, but they were showing footage from New York.
Oh
Again,
yeah.
they're pushing this very heavily, so that's what I'm trying to tell you
Hmm.
guys. He gets very angry with his wife because he's like, because she's like very shaken while he's talking to him, and he throws her up against the wall, and his son is obviously scared. And kudos to the kid, that actor. He played it very good. It's very hard for children to act real well, and he did a great job. I felt like acting terrified and horror of his dad. Um, because he again just pushed his mom up against a wall. And then we get a hallway scene of Coulson and May. They're getting ready to fight some of these Ravagers. They kiss again while Coulson's holding up the little shield with the shield logo on it. They're sitting there just making out, and Quake stops all the Ravagers as they're still making out. And then she comes up to him and she's just in disbelief. She's like just got this weird look on her face. That was one of the funniest moments of her this whole time. Uh, we see Talbot start leaving his house, and he tells his son he's going to be the hero. And he said just to keep watching the news. He goes, he's going to save the world. Um, doesn't get very far. Are members of S.H.I.E.L.D. who's still in the lighthouse, which is Mac and Yo-Yo, try to go stop him. They all start shooting him. He's obviously can stop the gravity and throws all the bullets back at him. His son comes out of the house. He says, you're not being a hero right now. And Talbot says, you watch, I'm going to be the hero, and then flies away. And that's all we see of Talbot this episode. Excuse me. We go see Deke and May are because while Quovos was putting Coulson and May in the prison, he said, if you try to break out, I've got some sort of missiles, alien type missiles pointed at the lighthouse. And he goes, I will shoot them. He goes, I could care less. He said, since you Earthlings are all about your guns. And so Deke and May split up from Coulson and Quake, and they go to get these coordinates down. They're trying to reroute these missiles. They're trying to and get back to the lighthouse. We do see when they split up, Coulson and Quake actually go to the lighthouse with the Zephyr. They go back. We get a very intense scene of, well, not really intense, but a scene I've been waiting for. I don't know about the rest of the viewers out in the world, but Quovos and Agent May having a pretty cool fight. I'm not going to lie, but meanwhile, Deke was rerouting everything, trying to read, I don't know what language this was. Nobody knew what language it was, but Deke actually knows 5 numbers, Chris. Actually, it's 6 if you count 0 in this alien language. Right. Though they were able to reroute the missiles and get back to and teleport back to the lighthouse. Quovos is no more. Neither are the Ravagers, I'm assuming. So R.I.P. But before they got on to the during all these fight scenes, we found out Coulson got scratched and was bleeding a little bit. Quake sees it. He says, "Don't worry about it. I'm fine." They get back to the lighthouse. His bandage is saturated in blood. He passes out. We don't know why. We see our main team come together, and they're all in the control room, and they're talking. They said, we've got the centipede serum. We potentially found a way for it to save Coulson's life. But they said, well, how are we going to stop Talbot? They said, well, we can also engineer the centipede serum to stop Talbot once and for all, for a terminal solution. And so they asked Daisy, they said, we just need some more of the centipede serum so we can make these things happen. She goes, what I gave you guys is the last of it. And then the whole team, as much as us as the viewers, come to realization that it is either save Coulson or save the world, because you only have this one little dose of centipede serum. And then I lied earlier. Actually, the last time we see Talbot, he kidnaps Robin and her mother, and he asked Robin. He says, "Where did you drew pictures of me? I'm assuming you've seen me in the future." And she nods her head yes. He goes, "Did you ever see me breaking apart the ground?" She says, "Yes." He goes, "Good. I need you to take me there." So take me to that location, and that's how the show ended. Now this is, of course, next week is the season finale. Hopefully, again, not the series finale. It's the same boat as Gotham right now. But Chris, what do you've got an impossible choice here. You got, of course, we know future Yo-Yo told current Yo-Yo that to break this loop, you cannot save Coulson. Do not try to save Coulson.
Yeah, but then Fitz has the idea that saving Coulson and being successful at saving Coulson could break the loop.
See, that's time travel's weird, dude. I don't know what's going to go on.
My thing is this. How much time do they think they have?
Right.
And if you think you have enough time, now again, this is where you get into the Infinity War movie and kind of having an
Scenario.
idea of how much time they have to do what they need to do. Um, could you not take some of the centipede serum, reverse engineer it, figure out how what it's made up of,
Right.
and make your own batch?
And you would think, with the centipede serum being in the first season, they would have found out how to engineer this stuff already.
You think.
But, that's, I don't know. Early numbers for this one: zero point 0.5 rating, which is up 0.1, 1.94 million viewers, which is up 0.32. Again, is it because of the talks of renewal or cancellation? I don't know. And then, of course, the next episode is titled The End. And we've talked about this multiple times this season. The writers already said they could either this episode that's coming up can either be the series finale or the season finale. It's written weird, so it could either be either. Again,
Right.
tweet out. Renew Agents of Shield. Do everything you can. Be vocal. Your voice does matter when it comes to TV shows like this. Um, I mean, hell, Brooklyn Nine-Nine got canceled, and it's already coming back on NBC within 24 hours. So if that doesn't show you anything, this should be fine. Again,
Speaking
uh huh.
speaking of tweets, somebody tweeted about this episode that they felt like, I'm trying to remember offhand how they worded it. I think you liked the Chloe Bennett's response to it. They felt like the finale was going to have all the feels or something like that. And Chloe Bennett said something to the effect of, "You're not ready
Yeah. Oh
for
yeah, I
how
sent
many
you the.
feels."
I think I sent you a picture. Let me. I should still. I do still have that picture. Um, so this comes from a girl named Sarah. Her Twitter handle is at CrazyGirlVids. Says, so the finale looks like it's going to be a feels fest. I'm not ready. Hashtag Agents of Shield. Chloe then quotes that tweet and retweets it. And she says, "Girl, let me tell you, no one's ready." So what does that
What
mean?
does that mean?
I don't know. And then, of course, she's been very cryptic with her tweets as well. She sent like 3 dots at one point, and then an hour later sends like 5 dots on Twitter
Yeah.
during all these cancellations and renewal news for ABC. Of course, we don't know anything yet for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Either she was trolling us as fans, or she really does know something. I don't know. But, I don't know. I'm not as passionate about Shield as I am Gotham, which is really weird. I'm a Marvel fanboy compared to DC, but um, if
What
they've
if
okay, go ahead.
what if they make a dual announcement and say that we're pulling Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from ABC and we're moving it to Netflix?
I think I think it would work.
They would be able to do more, that's for sure.
Yeah, because I feel like at that point they can work with the Marvel, the heroes like the Defenders that's on there.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's a way to go because they're both obviously in the MCU. Although Shield more so than Daredevil and stuff, but um, I feel like it'd be a good home for them. Agents of Shield is a very bingey show. A lot of people just love to binge it, especially with 22 episodes like we're going on here. So I guess I guess we'll find out next week. Hopefully this soon. Again, follow us at nerd_wide on Twitter, and we'll update you as soon as we know something as well. But Chris, before we get to any of that, I know these fans are dying to know who is the douche canoe this week.
Talbot.
Yeah, I just the way he like just threw his wife up against the wall. But yeah, again, we know his mind is scrambled a little bit still, and but come on, do it your wife and kid, and you're doing it in front of your kid. Chris, now I think this is the first time for it actually is the first time. Who is our hero of the week?
Well, hopefully it's not the last.
Yeah, hopefully it's not the
Um,
last.
Selena.
Yeah, the she saved Bruce. She saved Alfred. She took a bullet for Bruce. I mean, I don't think that was really intentional. That was a rough scene, but uh, I just only can imagine what's going to happen for her in the future. Chris, let's get on a higher note. What was your favorite episode this week?
Boy, this was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Gotham was amazing. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was amazing. Um, there wasn't a lot of separation there. It was pretty much a coin toss.
Yeah, you could have flipped a coin and I'd
Uh,
been okay with either choice.
a two-headed coin, a la Two-Face.
I was wondering if you were going that route.
Um, I ended up picking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Ooh.
Because of the continued Infinity War tie-ins. It looks like they're going to incorporate that somehow. But then also, I loved the Chloe Bennett scene where she quakes that device off of her forehead,
Yeah, it
and
was just
also,
phenomenal acting.
also that little bit of humor that she had after watching May and Coulson kiss. Uh, it was just it was a great episode. And meanwhile, you needed that levity because on the other side, you've got Fitz and Simmons kind of unsure what they're going to do. I mean, they're while everybody else, yeah, they've got their own things to deal with. Fitz and Simmons are really back there, or I guess technically Fitz and Fitz, if she changed her name, Fitz cubed or
Right.
squared. Um, they're back there trying to figure out what they can do to save Coulson, what they can do to save the world.
It's a hard choice,
Seems
dude.
like a lot of it.
Uh,
Yeah, it's.
uh, I don't
I
know.
don't.
Uh, my favorite episode, again, like you said, very hard choice between Shield and Gotham, but I had to go with Gotham. It had so many twists and turns this week. The way hell, even just recapping it just now, the way it just gave me chills. It's a no-brainer for me, for them. Now we talked a little bit in the pre-show. It's gonna be very hard to pick between Shield and Gotham next week, with both of them being
Yeah,
finales. Uh,
yeah, especially if it's the end for both of them.
oh, it's gonna be rough.
And if they're both great episodes, it's yeah.
I guess we'll find out, guys. And now, so we do again, like I talked about at the beginning of the show. We do polls every Monday, that last all the way till Friday. Last week's poll was: are you willing to give Krypton another chance if it gets renewed, or have you written it off for good? The three choices were: I've written it off, I will always watch it, and the third choice was maybe if it gets renewed. We had 4 votes, which is pretty consistent with our multiverse crew, and 100% of the vote says I will always watch it. So
There you go.
yeah, that's good stuff, I guess. Good fan base.
I mean, that's kind of the way I feel. If they keep making episodes, I'm going to keep watching them.
Oh, absolutely.
I just hope that they can straighten out. It just seems like a writing thing
Yeah.
that's causing a lot of it.
But again, it's probably like you said, it's they probably wanted, again, like 15, 18 episodes. They said, no, we can give you 10. That's all you get. That's probably what happened. And they probably
Yeah.
scrambled and said, how can we fit all of what we wanted to tell in this short amount of time? And I feel like that hinders people. But our multiverse question for this week, again, goes live on Monday. And it is, do you think the payoff of Coulson and May should have happened sooner? Your choices are yes, no, or it was just the right time. Now, guys, that is it for this week. Make sure you review us on whatever podcasting service you use. And don't forget to share us around with your friends and on your social media platforms. Again, you can follow NerdWide on Twitter at nerd_wide. We will be tweeting if we hear news about anything coming up. You can follow me personally at Ty_Haynes. You can follow Mr. Rivers at MavTN7. And if you do follow us at any of those, let us know what show you come from. Let us know what you think of the show. If we have any suggestions on how to improve, things you don't like, let us know. We love your feedback, and we'd love to get it. But as always, I'm your host, Tyler Haynes, with the man himself, Chris Rivers, and we cannot wait to share our thoughts with you next week.
Bye, everyone.